What we have here, people, is we have an ultra rare, only one known to exist, Prolumbia. And if y'all never heard of a Prolumbia, y'all have been living under a rock, because oh my gosh, this is really just a Columbia frame that we're going to be working on for a customer. So let's get started with the video. What's going on, everybody? Well, let's see, it's Tuesday. I was supposed to have a video out, well, at this point it's 3 hours ago. I haven't even started on a video yet. So let's see, this is going to be interesting. I've got to make a video, I've got to edit it, and then I've got to upload it all within today. Let's see if that can happen. Let's see, it's September 6th and it's 11:07 right now. So what we've got today, I've got a good customer friend that he's kind of got the old BMX bug, and I'm wearing gloves right now because he brought me in a project that he's going to be doing, and he's having some issues with it. So he's got a bunch of parts lying around, and he's got an old Columbia frame, and then he's got some parts off of a Huffy Pro Thunder with the 2-speed system, which is pretty cool. It's got the shifter in the handlebar, or in the grip. So what he wanted to do was he wanted to combine the two and kind of create something of his own little, creation out of, the depths of his mind there, and he wants to call it a Prolumbia. So, this is what Junkyard brought me, and that's kind of his nickname there. And he had it being sandblasted, and they really did a good job getting all the paint off, but with the rust they also blew a big hole in the frame. And this happens when the tubing gets so thin from the rust on the inside that it just can't handle the pressure, and it ends up blowing through. So that's exactly what happened with this one, is it just blew a hole in there. Now what we're going to be doing today, we've got a hole right here. We also have, looks like the start of a hole right over here, which is not good. We also have a hole on this side over here. So I was planning on just fixing the 2 holes. I may need to give him a call on the 3rd one, but we'll go ahead and get started on this. So what I'm going to have to do is, depending on what they used to clean this frame, I need to make sure that this is completely clean. And in fact, you have to open up the hole a little bit more to give the metal, or get the metal sturdy enough to hold up whenever you're welding it, okay? If it's not cleaned properly, the weld, there'll be porosity in it, basically air pockets, there's going to be holes, fish eyes, so we've got to get it cleaned up really good. We've got to open up the hole a little bit bigger. I've got to add some material, so I'm going to have to get some steel, and I'm going to have to basically cut it in the same shape as the hole, position it in place, and then put some tack welds on there and then weld it into place. So we're going to be doing that, but when he brought this frame in to me, he was really worried. He was like, oh man, I don't know about this, and I asked him, are you going to be jumping it? He's like, no. And I was like, are you going to be racing it? He's like, no. And I was like, are you going to be doing anything other than hanging it up on the wall and maybe getting it down and riding it around the neighborhood? And he's like, no. And I was like, we're good. So I normally don't do this, but since this is going to be more of a conversation piece, then there's no danger in this. Plus, also, I did go to school for 2 years welding, so I'm not too bad. But don't get any ideas. I weld on my own stuff. I will help Junkyard out here because he's done some work for me in the past, and he's an interesting character. So let's go ahead and open up this hole, and let's cut some metal and get some welding done. Let's get started. Let's go ahead and get our Dremel, and let's clean up this hole a little bit. It's kind of like cleaning a cavity. That hole started out small, but this was so thin right there that it got a lot larger. So I'm pretty good with that right there. I don't want to take any more off. Let's take a look at this other side. Let's clean that up. Alright, I think that's looking good. Let's blow this out, and then we're going to cut some pieces of metal, and then we're going to weld that in. Sorry, Junkyard, your Columbia is going to have a little bit of Raleigh in it, so I'm going to cut this up and use the small bits to repair your frame. Let's start cutting. There's one piece. There's the other piece. Alright, so what we're going to be doing here, I'll probably sound like I'm talking in a can. We are going to tack weld this into place. I'm going to be doing it with my left hand, and we're going to get this kind of in place. We're going to hit it. So we're going to tack weld it a couple of times. And then we're going to get our ball peen hammer and it feels like it's getting a little loose, so I'm going to tack it a little bit more. Okay. Alright, so this is going in further than I'd like, but where's my brush? That's fine because we can just kind of clean it up and go to town. It's not looking pretty. So I'm going to have to start grinding this down. So I'm going to grind that down, and I hope that it's going to come out pretty clean. Alright, we're going to flip it over to the other side. And what I should have done is I needed to tack it here, 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 and here. I only tacked it in a couple of places, and it started to pull the piece of metal in. Now that's okay, because it's going to give us plenty to grind down. We're probably going to have to weld it a little bit more, but I did kind of screw up a little bit there. Let's try not to screw up on this one. This one is going to be a little bit harder. Ball peen hammer. Fill in more. I gotta get this welder fixed. It keeps on jamming up on me. Alright. Now that that is done, let's see if we see any. Okay, I don't see any penetration inside. We can grind this down and hopefully be good. Now that the hole is welded closed, we're going to get our Dremel tool and just very carefully clean up the area. Safety glasses on, and let's get to work. Well, this is going to be the first time that I'm going to be critical about my own work. Now, if you look at this, it looks great, but whenever you look really up close, you can actually see some small pinholes in the welds. Nothing I did would stop the little pinholes. Now, I was looking at the welds, the factory welds, and they have the same pinholes in here. So it may be something about the steel tubing. Maybe there's some contamination in the tubing that has made these little pinholes, because looking at it, I see these pinholes here and there and everywhere. I do know that part of the reason why there's pinholes is because the tubing is thicker in some places and paper thin in other places. I've run into this before when you know, a frame is broken and you can actually see where it rusted the tubing so bad that it was paper thin. I didn't see any rust in this. So, you know, was it rust and it's been cleaned up? Did somebody use a chemical in here to clean it up? I don't know. But either way, I'm very disappointed. But there's no hole here, except there's a little couple of tiny ones. And there's a couple of tiny holes here. Very disappointed. And I know that Junkyard, he is as critical with his stuff as I am, and the only thing I have to say is I don't think he's got a lot of money in this. I know you're watching, Junkyard, but you know, maybe instead of getting it powder coated, it could be spray painted, which will be a lot cheaper, and have some fun with this thing, because you know, what's the point in having it if you can't have a little bit of fun with it? But anyway, with that bombshell of me not being happy with the work I've done, we're going to end this video. So if you liked this video, if you like seeing other people fail, give me a big thumbs up. Don't forget to tell your friends. Check out some of the other videos on the corner of the screen. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks. Dang it.